girls, I hear you've been running from the beautiful queen. If you can be becoming, you can look in my palm and see a storm coming. Read the book of my life and see it overcoming. Just because the length of your hair ain't long, and they often criticize you for your skin tone. Wanna hold your head high, cause you're a pretty woman. Get your runway stride home and keep it going. Girl, live your life. I just wanna be myself. Come slow, don't be yourself. Follow me, follow me, follow me. Girl, be yourself. That's why I be myself. Let them get mad. Let them get mad. Wait, don't you get back. Doesn't matter if you're going on the best.
Honey, let them get mad because they're going to be mad no matter what. Welcome to Take Center Stage. My name is Marisa Bludorn. I am your host. I am super excited to have with me the phenomenal September Own It Magazine cover girl, Sharon J. Bullock. And I am excited to have yet again her third anthology. We are just doing the thing. We have a marathon of anthologies back to back. This woman is a powerhouse. I love her. I love her heart. I love her spirit. I love her drive. And without further ado, we're going to take and bring center stage with me, our cover girl, Sharon Bullock. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Hello again, Marisa, and my fellow WIN authors.
Oh,
yay.
Yes, she is in the house. I'm so excited. Last week, our conversation was so impactful that we went. I think we must have went at least an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It was and we could have kept going. That's the bad part.
I know. It was just on, but it was awesome. Yes.
Oh, right. So amazing. I'm still feeling the impact of those conversations. And so this week we have the visionary behind this anthology is Cheryl Woods. And
the great Cheryl Woods.
yes. And I just wanted to share. I am still standing. You know, I love my song, my intro song by Mary J. You know, you got to work that thing because no matter what, you know, some of our sisters just are just not happy. And what I really love about the theme of all of your anthologies is about really inspiring, empowering, and uplifting women, the sisterhood. And Absolutely. This is yet another body of work. I am still standing, inspiring the nations. That is just amazing. And so share with us, Sharon, about your thoughts and you know, and then let's bring on your co-authors. Share about how you got connected with this project.
Well, of course, I've always been in love with Cheryl Wood. She actually did her first book signing ever at my boutique, Metamorphosis. This was back in, 2000, I want to say 2009 or 8 or something like that. But anyway, she did her first book signing there, and she has just ballooned. I mean, she is just blowing it up, and she is so amazing. So I've always wanted to be in one of her anthologies, and she's done several anthologies. And this one touched my heart because it's really about women who have overcome, things that have happened in their lives, and they really have stories to tell, about what they experienced it and how they overcame all types of adversities in their lives. And I had a situation where I lost my best friend. Mm-hmm. And it was during the time that I was also in the midst of losing everything I had. I mean, from my business to my home to my marriage. I mean, just everything all at once. And then to top it off, I lose my best friend as well. So that's the story that I talk about in this book. And the women that are also a part of it, they have stories to tell as well that can inspire others and just to show others how you can overcome even the worst things that you've been through.
And that's so important for us to be transparent enough to share those stories, not allow the shame to claim our name and our voice, right? And so I think that is so important. Just want to do a shout out to our viewers, Dr. Shelley Hipsky and Robin Hughes. Thank you for chiming in. Someone stopped by to say hello. Can't see their name, but thank you so much for chiming in. I'm going to bring, without further ado, our co-authors in Rochelle Campbell, Michelle Irby Johnson, and Ursula Grant. Hey, hello, ladies. You can unmute yourselves.
Hello.
Hello.
We're all going to be a part of this. Yes. And what's so beautiful about the coming together of this particular anthology is I know that they were in communication, but the communication was limited. And so I'm excited to be honored to be able to bring you guys together and for you guys to see each other face to face. When was the anthology completed?
It was released, January of last year, I believe.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So have you guys had any kind of contact, anyone in the circle since that point?
No. Just pretty much just looking in the chat, like the group chats, reading what people are doing, things like that, but not in this type of platform.
Oh, this is awesome.
You.
You're welcome. I was like,
our very first launch, we all came together in terms of our first launch because we were trying to, yes, of course, reach that #1 status, which we did with Amazon bestsellers, best-selling authors and books. So that was awesome. So, but since that time, no, and we do have a group. We have a Facebook group that we, send things to each other in. But to meet like this, no, we should do it more often, though.
Right.
Yeah. Just, because it's so important for a support network and also to get each other's suggestions. As I was sharing with the ladies before we pre-show, was just saying to them in the author's corner, it's so important to just network. You never know who is watching, who is gleaning, who's learning, who's ready to share the different opportunities to collaborate and partner and make things happen. And so it's a beautiful thing, and to really share in support of your stories. So I just want to do a round robin and start with Rochelle. Rochelle, what's the title of your contribution? And share, give them just a teaser about what your contribution to this body of work was.
So my contribution was called The Silent Killer, Workplace Bullying. Which is something that people typically are unable to either talk about or identify, which is even more disheartening. A lot of times people are in the situation, but not really feeling connected to tell anybody because I'm a professional or I'm older. How can I tell somebody I'm being bullied at work? Like that doesn't even sound right. But through my story, I've reached several groups of people. Just saying, you know what? I never thought about it like that. You're right. I've met people who were on the verge of committing suicide because at that age in your life, and mine was, I was a little groaner when my situation happened. And so I thought that I did everything I was supposed to do. I went to school, I graduated, I got my degree, I started the workforce. I never thought I had to look to see who was going to be, quote unquote, bother me at work. Until I actually got into it, it just became one of those things like, how do you literally live with somebody psychologically abusing you in the workplace? And so during that time frame, I lost a lot. I lost my confidence. I lost my self-esteem. I lost income. I lost my job as far as that particular position, and I almost lost my way. But I hunkered down. I built my relationship back with God stronger, and I just kept moving forward. And so I'm still standing today because I lived through such a turbulent time in my lifetime, but I'm here to stand to talk about it, to help others to get through it.
And I'm so glad, and Rochelle, you and I had the conversation when we were during our feature interview in regards to that, and just share some, I shared a common experience where, working at, at a job, all predominantly male, Caucasian, and just the, just like you said, the loss of confidence, or the having to check your confidence again and saying, whoa, wait a minute. Let me remember who I am before I get in this daggone office to deal with this nonsense. I just believe that we don't talk enough about that. The adult behavior, the adult age, but the childlike behavior. That there's if it's unchecked, there's not ever been made accountable for, there's no change in behavior. So we're wondering and we're saying, oh, this can't be because we are all adults. No, just because we're adults in age does not mean we're adults in maturity level or growth, right?
Right.
So it's such a serious issue. And so, Rochelle, I'm glad to reconnect again because I forgot about our conversation and all of these conversations. So I'm sending you out an email tonight for a meeting that we have tomorrow, and I hope you'll have time to join the contributing writers for the Own It magazine. Ursula, will you share with us your contribution to this body of work?
So the title of my chapter was called Unveiled, Uncovered, Unfulfilled, and Unemployed, My Recovery Back to Faith. So this was a real true test of my faith during this period of time where I stepped out on faith to start my own business. And then in the midst of doing all of that, all hell and chaos broke loose in my life. So it caused me for a 3-year period to be unemployed with no income coming in because of all of life circumstances started to happen. And then at that point, I started to lose my faith. So in doing that, I had to figure out a way to regain my faith back so that I can move forward and do the things that I needed to do, to get my life back in order. So I was still able to, start my business, which is Grc Consulting Group. And I was able to overcome the whole thing of just being unemployed. And during the time that we're living in these past 19 months of the pandemic, so many people have lost their jobs because, the businesses have been shut down and they did not know how they were going to make it. So this part of my story is definitely a help to anyone that is going through unemployment and not knowing where your next dollar was going to come from.
Wow, such a like a stream of like not one hit.
Yeah, it was
multiple hits. But yeah. I'll say this to you: you hit like that, that means that you are a powerhouse. And yes. In order to bring you down, you had to be hit like that.
Yes.
So it's amazing. It's amazing. We're gonna circle back around, but I just want to give everybody a chance to just segue into the conversation. So Michelle, you are up.
Yes, good evening, my sisters, and to our listening and viewing audience. My story is called Within the Ropes in God's Hands. And that was just a snippet of my life as an abused wife 24 years ago, and how I was abused from every dimension that you can think of, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, everything except for financially, because thank God I knew enough to have my own bank account. But it's just a snippet of how I met a guy in the church. After my first divorce, I was married my first time. I was 21 when I got married, so I didn't know what I was doing. But, going through the lonely spells and times, I was vulnerable and ignorant at the same time. And I allowed myself to fall into the graces of somebody who did not, deserve me. But he thought it was prudent and necessary to beat me every day or, do something to me that would try to break my spirit. But as a result, when I finally got out of it, I was able to, start helping other women who were in abusive relationships, counsel them, mentor them. To this day, 20 some years later, I'm helping people escape, or people call me for advice or things of that nature. So I didn't allow the situation to break me. If anything, it made me more resilient. It made me more tenacious. And it gave me an opportunity to stand up and say, I'm worth more than what happened to me. And I'm not what happened to me, but I'm able to take, as they say, take the lemons and make lemonade. And so as a result of that, I stepped out of God's will, still loving him, but because of loneliness, I allowed myself to fall into this relationship. But by the grace of God, he brought me out, brought me through, and now I'm able to help other people to survive and to thrive as a transformation architect.
Yeah, and it's so critical when you go through. It says, "Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life," and that's so important for believers to understand. That when you go through, the biggest thing you don't ever want to do is give up your faith, because that's how the enemy can destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
You keep your faith and just keep crying out to God with whatever little bit of hope or energy or whatever it is. You just keep crying out, and deliverance will come. And so that's so critical, because even with Ursula and being hit the way she was hit, and Sharon the way that she was hit, is like hope deferred makes the heart sick. But it also balances that out and says, "Be not weary in well doing. So in due season you shall reap if you faint not, if you don't give up your faith." And so we just thankful for his grace and for his mercy. And Michelle, I just want to share, you just posted in regards to being a part of an international platform. Could you share a little bit about that? Was it dealing with teens? Because I read it over really quick, but wasn't able to see.
It's dealing with youth over in the UK, London. It's a program over there that mentors youth who have either gotten into trouble, been incarcerated, fallen into crime, homelessness, and all of these various things. And so a group of us have been called upon to speak into their lives, to, give back, to let them know that they're not what they've done. And so it's a virtual event that's going to be held on Saturday, September the 25th, 2:00 Eastern Standard Time, 7:00 Greenwich Mountain Time over in London. And so we've just been called upon to give voice to these youth, to make sure that they can understand that they can make it. It's called Kamara Youths, Fit for Purpose Forward Thinkers. And so we are so excited to be able to speak into the lives of these young people, because they're our future. These youth will be the adults of tomorrow. And if we don't save them today, God only knows what's going to happen. And I think, it's important for us to realize that although we've already been there, we've done that, and we look at what this generation does, we have to remember that it could have been us, but for the grace of God. And so we've got to remember that, God doesn't waste anything. Even our own mistakes haven't been wasted, but they've been, prudent in forming who we are today. And so God's hand is merciful and gracious, and everything we go through is for a reason. And so I'm just honored to have been called upon to speak into the lives of youth, and prayerfully, what I have to say, because I'm a pastor as well. So prayerfully what I have to say will be something that will click in their spirit beyond that day, something that they can chew on for the furtherance of their days.
I thought because I caught it real quick and doing some like preparatory work for tonight's show, and I knew I said it. I know that says youth, but I couldn't remember that we go through our tests, and if we have a willing heart and are brave enough, so that we can give our testimony. Absolutely. That's why we go through. But only those who are willing and brave. It takes bravery to be transparent. It takes bravery, because I know the first time I hit send to the world for them to read my book, I was like, oh, wait a minute, do I really want them to know about this? And how are they going to judge me? And I had to go psychologically through all of that and toss it to the wind and say, you know what? Whosoever will, let them come. And because this is really about those who hear your story, can relate to it, and that is empowered and inspired by them. Those who have their negative comments, it's not for you anyway. So go sit down.
Have several seats, ma'am.
Go sit down. It ain't yours, or you just ain't ready for it yet, and it's all good, right? It's all good. And so
but a time will come when they'll need that story, and
they'll take it, because I remember before I got saved, I remember when church folks used to talk about how Halloween was evil, and I used to always say they always don't want to have a good time. Well, I'm one of those people that says, yeah, the highest level of satanic worship is done on Halloween. And so now the voices changed over, right? So it's all about timing, and it's all about when you're open to it. I want to circle back to our CoverGirl, our September CoverGirl, and listen to what's happening. Here is Michelle, and as the book says, women inspiring nations, and that's what she's actually doing. She's doing the international thing. And so I just want to circle back to you and Sharon, and share with us, you have any questions for your co-authors?
Yes, I'm curious. I know that a lot of us had stories that we wanted to tell. And I remember in the beginning when Cheryl had us all together and we were trying to decide on just what we were going to write on. And I'm just curious to know, did you have a hard time in making that decision, or did you know right away what that story was going to be about? Or was it more than one adversity you wanted to talk about but couldn't decide? And how did you make that decision?
So I'll start. For me, it was kind of a hard decision because I had multiple adversities that I could share, but I just kept praying about what would be real relevant for them at this particular time, not even realizing all that was going to occur with the pandemic. I just decided, I sat down one day, and all of a sudden it's like God dropped it in my spirit what to write. And I didn't stop writing until I actually finished it. And then I was like, this must be what God wanted me to share. So that's how I ended up with my chapter.
Awesome.
So for me, it was not hard at all.
Yeah.
Being bullied at work was one of the most degrading, hurtful, one of the largest impacts to my adult life, even my childhood. It was like one of the biggest impacts. The most difficult part for me writing the story is not to be saying he said, she said, this person did, that person did. So I had to kind of sculpt it to where I can be more, not just transparent, but to help other people to understand visually what it felt like to be in that situation. Because a lot of people, I mean, like I said, I can't go and say, hey, they're bullying me. They'll look, are you a child? What do you mean they're bullying you? Say this, cuss them out, do this. And I'm like, I'm at work. I'm professional. I can't do that. And so it's so hard to tell people, even I had to go to a therapist, a psychiatrist, and a psychologist. Now, my background is in therapy, so I have coping skills. So that was the one blessed thing that God blessed me with. So I had coping skills, but I couldn't explain to other people what bullying in the workplace looked like. So in me writing the story, I wanted people to understand what it felt like. And so I was able to hopefully, to get that point across, because it's just different to say somebody's bullying me at work, but to understand what it felt like is a little bit more impactful for that type of story.
As for me, it was very easy because the bulk of my life, in terms of, I'm a counselor as well. The bulk of people that I mentor or counsel are women, and most of them are either in abusive relationships that they don't even realize, or they're in abusive relationships that they are aware of. So it was very easy for me to pull that one, because not that there weren't other traumatic stories, as Rochelle and Ursula stated, but that one was the most prolific one, or the one that has shaped me the most, because I'm very resilient. I bounce back. I mean, I was in the military for 26 years, so I can take anything. But when you're, everybody asks me, well, how did you allow somebody to beat you, the kind of person that you are? I said, well, I'm 5'2", he was 6'4", 250 pounds, and he always hit me from behind first. So once I'm down, I'm down. I said, so it wasn't like I didn't want to fight back. I just didn't get a chance to. And some of the things that were done, but it was easy for me to pick that. And I just had to choose a title, because my first book that I wrote was called Love's TKO, A Testimony of Abuse, Victory, and Healing. And so that was done from a boxing theme. And so I just wrapped it into Within the Ropes, in God's Hands, because if I wasn't in God's hands, what happened in those ropes could have been very tragic, could have been, could have ended my life. It almost happened a couple of times, but it was easy for me to write about because that's really my passion, is helping women, who are hurting, traumatized for whatever reason, because that's my heartbeat, is to see their lives transformed from trauma to victory.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot. We just want to do a shout out to Dr. Renee Sterling Allen. Thank you for chiming in. And she says, yes, Sharon Bullock, because Sharon is doing the darn thing, shining like the superstar she is. And we're so thankful. She extended this opportunity to her fellow authors across 3 different anthologies, which was a beautiful gesture to give you guys the opportunity, because we know if you're not promoting your book, it's not selling. And so giving an opportunity to just expand your network and to get connected, and also to get re-energized in this particular area with this particular project. And so I'm excited and I'm thankful, because Rochelle, you hit on something that's very critical in your contribution to the project, because work life bullying, we need to address that. It's just not diversity and inclusion. That's one form of bullying and harassment, but bullying and harassment is anyone who is the weaker link. So and not the weaker link in the sense that they're weak. It's the sense that they look like they're someone that you can take advantage of. I know I'm a powerhouse. You mess with me on the wrong day, I'm about to take you down. Okay. I am not the one. But I also give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give you the benefit, because once I come for you, trust me, that's it. It's game over. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And I have been in that position because we're trying to be professionals, as Rochelle and I talked about. We want to be professionals. We're trying to do the adult thing. And so, but there has to be a higher level of awareness of bullying in the workplace. I don't think that it's really discussed enough. We talk about a narcissistic boss, but we don't talk about peer-to-peer bullying as well. And so I just think that is so important. And I would have known this if Sharon didn't make the extension to say, hey, I want my anthologies involved. I want them to be included. And so I'm just thankful, because in doing so, I got to hear your stories. Ursula, oh my gosh, all to happen at one time. It's like that Job experience, right?
Yes, definitely, because I was actually in that state. But before I continue with that, I just want to thank Sharon for extending that opportunity to us, because without you, this would not have taken place. But to your point, Marissa, definitely a good experience. I was prepared really to go walk into my business and do what I was called to do. But sometimes we think that we're walking into the promised land when sometimes we're actually walking in the desert. So I felt that desert experience where everything started to happen. I had originally saved up so much just so that I can take care of myself in the event that things didn't move as quickly as I thought. But one thing after another started happening. I was in the middle of a civil lawsuit that I was doing everything that I could, and then the case got dismissed. So that was devastating for me. Then after that, I started having things happen within the home. My air conditioner broke down, took some of my resources. Then I was driving on the road and someone dropped a can of red paint and covered my car. It was like one thing after the other that continued to happen. And in the midst of that, I was like, I need to get back to myself. I need to get back to myself. But I started falling deeper and deeper into the depression part, where it was just taking over me. And so the strong faith that I had when I stepped out originally, that part of me was starting to just dwindle. Then when I looked at, how people would look at me, things were starting to be unveiled. I was being uncovered. I felt like I was, out there by myself. But I can say I thank God for the grace of God for my parents. I thank him for, my family and friends that actually did not want to see me get to that point, but they stepped in when I needed it. And if it was not for them, I don't think I would have come out of this stronger than I am today. So I was really at a very, very low place. And so many things. And even during that time, we had a lot of deaths in the family. So it was just, I was just bombarded with life. And so it really took its toll on me. But thank God for it now that I'm stronger and I'm much better because of it. But it gave me great experience because now a couple of my friends who were actually helping me, I'm able to help them because now they're in the situation that I'm in. And so many times we think that it's never going to happen to us, but we never know how the universe works. And so because of this pandemic, many of my friends have been out of work. And so I was actually working during the pandemic, which was the blessing because I just came out of 3 years of not having anything. So I'm just grateful to God that, I was able to get through that. And then my faith is stronger than it was before.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Like I said earlier, we go through some things and God has to remind us because I'm in a season of restoration in that area too, because there are seasons in our lives where we have to believe and trust God on different levels. And so now we're in a season, like you said, you're getting ready to do this thing full blast, right? Full blast.
Yeah.
And the scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required. So when we are leveling up, and the one thing I'm thankful for is my background. I don't do counseling, I do coaching. Why? Because counseling takes a whole level of patience, and let's get it done. So I coach. I hit that tail and say, look, we ain't got no time to be messing around. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. And but one thing I do know in dealing with leaders and working with them, one of the critical things is for you to understand the transitioning up is a building of your character at a different level. And so what you had before, God has to really double up. He has to advance you. And the requirement of that is that you do go through some things. So it qualifies you so that you have now laid a new foundation by which you're able to stand at your new level. And that is revelation that God had to give to me in this whole process was like, Marisa, because I'm going to tell you, last year, July, I was in a head-on collision. The gentleman ran through the stop sign. I'm trying to drive Uber and Lyft because I'm just trying to finish out my PhD without because if any of you guys know about counseling and coaching, it will drain you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Working with people, you love them, you love your calling, you want to answer it, but it will drain you. And so I know a lot of people draw a lot from me. So I knew I had to guard that so that I could finish these last 5 classes. I'm still trying to finish these last 5 classes, believe it or not. He ran through the stop sign. I'm just trying to quietly, like I said, finish driving. I'm making good money driving Uber and Lyft, by the way. I want to tell you a lot more than some people having some managerial and director positions we're making. But I'm being quiet, minding my own business, trying to do this thing. And this man totals my car out. Last year I had 2 vehicles. Do you understand me? By the end of last year, I didn't have a vehicle at all.
Wow.
Didn't have a vehicle at all. And ain't no more driving Uber and Lyft. You ain't making your money that way, honey. But God had a different plan. And had I caved in and gave up, I wouldn't be here with you ladies tonight. It forced me to draw upon him at another level of faith, trust, and believing him.
Yes. Yes.
And for those, remember the scripture says, when you're babies, I fed you milk. But you have to come to a level where you could chew some meat. Because if you're going to manage everything that I've called you to, you've got to be equipped and have the capacity to do it. And so that's why sharing these stories is imperative. Because if someone else doesn't read this and see it or see you model this success, and being transparent of what you had to go through, they'll never know it's possible. They'll never know it's possible for them if we don't tell. If we try to hide our shame, right, just to protect our faith, they'll never know. They'll never know. He'll give you beauty for ashes, right? He'll give you beauty for ashes, so they'll never know. So these things are so critical for us, and it's so important for us to share the stories. Now, Sharon, I want to come back to you because outside of this project, you have a lot going on with your Sisters for Sisters network and all the things that you're doing. Share with the audience about the things that you have going on outside of your anthologies. Come on, talk to us about the fashions and how you look so good at 60 plus.
Well, thank you so much, Marisa. Ironically, I'm actually at a book signing, and I said, "Can you do you have a quiet place that I can set up my podcast because I go on the air in about 15 minutes?" So we were doing another book signing for Always Sisters, The Power of Sisterhood. And that is through our organization, Sisters for Sisters Network. I'm the co-founder and vice president, and our president is Peggy Morris. And we had an event today with one of the co-authors, and it was her birthday, which happens to be Peggy's sister. So we were celebrating her birthday as well as a book signing today in Baltimore. So it wasn't enough time for me to get home to do the podcast. So I said, "Oh, please, can I set it up here?" Because time we saw, how things happen when you start later than you expected. So it all worked out though. And aside from that anthology, of course, I co-authored and inspired the book Embracing My Sexy 60s, where I have a collaboration of 20 women, including myself, tell our stories on our journeys to 60. And we are in our 60s, and it's a full color hardback coffee table book. And I call it a brag book because you get to, really shine in this book and pass it on to, make it like a legacy within your family. And it's just really a phenomenal book. And I'm very, very proud of that project. So along with those other two, and of course, this anthology, it has put me into the publisher's world, if you will. So I, have self-published my own anthology and working on volume 2 for Embracing My Sexy 60s. And as far as the fashion world, yes, fashion is my passion. I'm the former owner of Metamorphosis Wardrobe and Accessories Boutique that was in Silver Spring. Some of you may have been there before, and it's still part of my passion, as I said. And so I am still a wardrobe coach and stylist and a color analyst. So I do workshops on color analysis as well as I can style you or show you how to turn your wardrobe into several pieces. So I'm really, it's interesting how this later in my life, I'm finally doing the things that I love. And I think that's what life should be about. And it's unfortunate that some of us don't discover it until later in life, but that's okay, because now, a lot of us are empty nesters, or we're starting over in so many ways in our lives, and we finally get to do the thing we were called to do. So that's what I'm really excited about.
Wow. Awesome. I mean, there's just so much going on. And so you need to, ladies, I'm not sure if you know women who are, because I know you guys are not in your 60s. You guys know ladies that are in their 60s and looking fabulous and doing the darn thing. You need to make sure that they connect with Sharon to actually be a part of that next project, because it really is amazing to really embrace getting older. Because remember, in corporate, you didn't tell anybody your age. I can remember being on the job once, and they were doing my birthday. They were having cake for me for my birthday, and one of the texts said, "Marisa, well, how old are you?" And I go to respond to say my age, And the one woman, she was older than me. She was our director at the time. And she says to me, "Oh, you don't tell people your age." I was like, "Well, I'm proud of my age."
There you go. Right.
Because I know I don't look my age, because next month I'll be 53. Ain't nobody looking at me thinking I'm 53 and I'm a grandmother. So I say it all day, okay? Because, you know, you got to take care of yourself, you know, and this should be one of those things where it's not about boasting or making anybody else feel bad. It's all about promoting being healthy and taking care of ourselves, and how important self-love and self-care are to you, so that you value yourself as soon as possible. And it's critical too, also, because just like Ursula, Michelle, and you, when we teach self-love, we make better choices.
Yes.
When we teach women that instead of getting up and saying, "Oh, I don't feel like doing my hair, I'll put a scarf on," we don't talk about the importance of, you know, making sure that you adorn yourself. Michelle, you're beautiful. Why? Because you've done everything else. You don't put your makeup on. You've taken the time to beautify yourself. That is so important. When you put on slippers and you just running out the house real quick and you got your sweats on, you don't feel, what's your confidence level? You can't do that all the time and don't think it's going to have an impact on how you feel and how you carry yourself, and also how you make your decision. Am I right, fashionista? Sharon is the image consultant.
Absolutely. I've always said that, you know, a lot of people talk about beauty within, and yes, absolutely beauty within. But I have always, you know, people judge you, unfortunately, by your outside appearance a lot of times. And a lot of low self-esteem comes from not feeling good about yourself. And what I used to always say to my customers is like, okay, you know, it's sort of like a thing of fake it till you make it, because it's like, if you're feeling good about yourself, you know, on the outside, and if you get all of those compliments when you're out and about, and people, you might be just depressed about something that happened in your life, and just someone just complimenting you on the way you look, or just what you have on, or just anything about your outward appearance, sometimes that can actually make your day. And it can put you in a different mood, and you can start feeling better about yourself. And I just say, until it permeates on the inside to, you know, to help you be the best that you can possibly be, then why not? That's why I always emphasize, always wear your best colors. And we all have a palette of colors that are best for our skin tone. When you are wearing your best colors, you get so many compliments throughout the day. And it just makes you want to always wear that certain color, just so that you can get those compliments. So my whole thing is that, why look good some of the time when you can look amazing all the time? And that's just simply by wearing your best colors. That simple.
Yep. And we definitely need to just be conscious of the fact that when you get yourself dressed up, whatever level of dressed up is, and you feel on a regular basis, you just feel much better about yourself. And it carries over to the choices you make. It's just like we get our kids dressed up to go to church. They behave a little better, right? We expect them to behave a little better. Or if you put on a dress, you just don't flop down, right? You're a little bit more concerned about how you sit down. Well, that transitions over to how you are treating yourself. How do you make those choices? And when we're looking at inspiring women, I think that that's one of the things that we need to encourage more of. Is that, you know, you got to take the advantage. You are your brand, right? Isn't that what everybody talks about these days? You are your brand, so to speak. So we are
Absolutely.
our brand.
Absolutely.
We are our brand. And so it's very, very important for us to take the time to get ourselves, you know, just really, really dressed up, and you know, just adorn yourself, because it does transition to what goes on. It just matches up with what goes on in the inside. And people don't know what's on the inside until they see what's on the outside first, right? Right? They don't get to know you until the first thing they see is you. So everything is first visual, And then second is
Yes.
getting to know you. So you want them to respect you. I always tell my daughter, I said, how did you go there dressed? Because my one of my daughters, she's like, Ma, I'm not doing all of that. And it's like, okay, but when you go to talk to folks and you want them to favor you, you can't go there looking like, because they feel like they could treat you like, right? So you gotta take the time, and it pays off in the long run. All the compliments that you receive as a result of it, that even helps you with how you feel. And so, Ursula, I wanted you to share. You talked a little bit about your business, but share with us a little bit more about your business, and if you're able to tell folks how they can connect with you to do business with you.
So my business is called Grc Consulting Group. And what the GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. So mainly what I do is I usually apply for state, local, and federal contracts so that I can go into that business and take a look at their overall policies and procedures to ensure that how they're doing business is aligned with the laws and regs that actually govern their business. So if there is a specific law that actually regulates the type of business that they perform, and mainly the businesses that I usually really kind of contract with is businesses that have information technology or cybersecurity in that respect. But I also can go into like pharmaceuticals because I also have pharmaceutical background. But majority of my clients that I actually have are information technology clients. So I go into their actually establishment and overlook their policies to ensure that they are currently adhering to the laws and regs that govern their business. So right now I'm in the midst of a contract that I just got awarded 3 weeks ago. So we just started working with them, and we're trying to get the company ramped up for the new privacy legislation that just came out, where we have to make sure that all the customers' information is guarded. And if you wanted to really reach out to me, I do have a page out on Facebook. The other thing is I'm in the process of getting my web page actually revamped, and so that we're going to put that information out there. And then you can also reach me. My email is Ursula_Garnett@yahoo.com. So we can do that type of work, governance, risk, and compliance for any business, pretty much.
That is awesome. I'm multitasking. So Ursula, I just need you to drop in the private chat, just drop your email address so that I can put it out there for our guests to connect with you. And ladies, I've already put Michelle and Rochelle, because I'm trying to multitask here. I put your links inside the actual comments for folks to get them on the inside the comments so that they'll have them. Yeah, so Ursula, once you do that, I'll do that. I'll do the same for you. And so, Michelle, share with our audience how they can work with you, what you're doing in your personal, business outside of the anthology.
Oh, wow. Hold on to your hats. Well, I'm building my speaker brand. So, I'm a speaker naturally, but I'm trying to build my speaker's brand outside of, preaching, because that's what I do on a regular basis, but trying to, have a speaking business. But outside of that, I'm a speaker trainer coach. So I can train, facilitate, build curriculum, all of those different things. Of course, I stated that I coach women primarily, whether they're abused in trauma, survivor, issues, what have you. So that's that. I also have a self-publishing business, One Kingdom Publishing. And that is where my hubby and I, we help people with their publishing projects. So if they say, I want to write a book, but I don't know what I'm doing, we consult with them on that. My husband designs all the book covers for people who come to us. I do all of the editorial work and, setting up, everything in terms of their books. But I also have 2 anthologies that are on the table right now. One is called Boots and Beyond, and that is for all my military people, because I'm a veteran, 26 years in the Air Force, retired. And so that's called Boots and Beyond. That's being released on November 11th, which is Veterans Day. Then I have a second one that's being released in December that I'm doing called My Bald is Beautiful. And that is for all of my BBB sisters. It's, Bald, Bold, and Beautiful is called My Bald is Beautiful. I Am Not My Hair. A lot of people, I thought that it would be important. Actually, God woke me up and told me, you need to do an anthology on your bald sisters because people need to know your story. All of us are not bald because it's a fashion statement. Some of us have alopecia,
Right.
chemo, various issues. One of my closest friends was like, "Oh, I thought you just shaved your head for fashion." I said, "No." I said, "My hair fell out." And so this is the route I have to go. And so I have several other anthologies that are coming out. I have about a list of, that are going to be coming out over the next year and a half. And then outside of that, I have a virtual assistant business that I just started because I lost my regular job because I moved to North Carolina to be closer to my mother. And so my remote position ended. And so I started a virtual assistance business, and that's called Optimum Professional Virtual Solutions. And so anything you need, just visit OptimumPVS.com. And I do anything from administrative to curriculum to editorial to HR, you name it, it's out there. And so that's what I'm doing in short.
Awesome. So we have one of your authors. We brought her in. She was coming in, and we all have technical difficulties or challenges, and her name is Vaughn Griggs. I want Vaughn to kind of catch up with us. You can take yourself off mute, Vaughn. I just want to have you say a little something. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Thank you so much.
You are. Yeah, so just share a little something with yourself. What we did talk about was your contribution to the body of work. Introduce yourself to your fellow co-authors. She made it. She's in. Introduce yourself to your co-authors, and then share about your contribution to the Women Inspire Nations project.
Okay, so great. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry that I'm late. I've been in cleaning and worship mode all day. Literally just came and looked at the phone. So me and Tasha Cobbs has been having a wonderful breakout day and breakthrough day today. So forgive me because I didn't know I had this notification to even attend this evening. So thank you for allowing me to join on the back end. Sharon, Bullock, thank you so much for this opportunity. Really connecting and really still in the learning mode of it all. So a little bit about me. Yes, I was in the Win 3 anthology, and I have two businesses. A nonprofit, a jewelry store and outreach. So shout out to Michelle Irby Johnson, my co-shero here. I'm also a retired Air Force veteran, and releasing my lead anthology around the same time frame. So definitely want to connect with you. So my nonprofit is support and resources and providing housing for female veterans with children. My for-profit is a safety and health consulting, occupation safety and health. If you know anything about compliance, be it OSHA, DOT, EPA, FAA, all of those around what compliance must be in the workplace to protect employees from fatalities, injuries, and illnesses. So it's a little bit about me. I'm going to go back to mute. I am babysitting a dog, and so you could probably hear him. I think he wants to go out, so I'm going back on mute. But I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for your patience with me. God bless all of you and what you're endeavoring to do.
Oh, thank you so very much for chiming in, not calling it robbery. Delay is not denial. Delay is never denial. Wanted to make sure that at least you guys got to hear from Vaughn, as she is one of your fellow authors. Super excited about that. Rochelle, I want you to share about what it is that you do, because we all do something out of our writing projects. So I just wanted to make sure you have the opportunity to do a shout out. So tell people what you do and how they can work with you.
One of the things that came out of me going through my story was that at some point God told me to take it off myself and cast it on to him, and help other people. So I had the opportunity to receive assistance with like my mortgage, my car, food, just the typical things that people ask you for if you need support or help with. But what no one asked me was if I require any assistance and need for toiletry items. And so one of the things I realized is that people don't really typically ask if you need like soap or lotion, toothpaste, sanitary napkins, and things of that nature. So I actually started a nonprofit called Toiletries and Company. And what we do is provide toiletry items to underserved communities. We also provide toiletries to people who are working who just can't afford, laundry detergent or the high price of sanitary napkins. And we do that year round. We just pretty much connect with different people, connect with other organizations that's working with different populations, and we provide those items to individuals. What I just recently started doing is just kind of packing up things, putting them in my car. When I see people just walking like homeless on the street, I just hand them a toiletry kit and just, ask them to, be blessed and use the toiletries. And it tends to shock people because most people either give you food or money, but to get soap and a washcloth and toothpaste and toothbrush, it's really been a blessing to me to help people in that way.
Wow. And I'll tell you this, Rochelle, what's very serious about that is, especially with the toothpaste and the toothbrush, is because if they're not brushing, that's one, eventually their teeth are going to be crumbling. And then the other thing is they're not going to be able to eat. So even if you give them food, they won't be able to eat, especially if it's elongated, their term out there. So that is something that, we just take for granted because we can go and get toothpaste. We can go get a toothbrush. So we take that for granted. And then we don't think, long term of the impact, like your teeth are crumbling and if you're eating junk or your nutrition isn't right, again, your teeth will crumble. So that's so important too. And thank you for the reminder to do something different. Thank you for the idea to do to do that, to have the toiletries. I know that they were doing like little zip bags with little snacks in them. But just like you said, who's really thinking about toiletries? We're thinking about them eating so much. But if they don't have teeth to eat, they're not going to be able to chew the food that you're giving them. And so this hour goes by very fast. And I'm pretty sure you are probably saying to yourselves, how are we going to last an hour? She's talking about an hour. How are we going to last an hour? Well, even when it's just me and another guest, an hour goes by very fast because you can't have real conversations in short periods of time. You're not. And so whosoever will, let them, hear it out to its fullest extent. But when you don't hear it out, you miss out. You miss out on the depths of the stories, the treasures, the hidden nuggets of wisdom that are shared in these moments, and the opportunities to connect and expand your network. And so I am just so humbled to have you. I'm going to punt it over to our superstar, our cover girl, and allow her the opportunity to close us out because we only have like 2 minutes. But Sharon, don't feel rushed. Talk to your sisters, your co-authors. You have the floor with them. Take your time, but you'll give us our closing comments.
I just want to thank you ladies for taking the opportunity out of your Sunday to join us because we know that this has been sort of an impromptu thing all day because the way you were brought into the project, I know it was a big question since we didn't know each other. And I said, I don't know them, but please reach out to them because they were part of the anthology that I was a part of. So I would like to share this platform. So I'm so grateful that you were able to come in and sign on and tell your stories and tell what you're doing as well as other things that you're doing besides the book. And I just hope that this has blessed the audience as well, because once you do pick up a copy of Women Inspiring Nations, Volume 3, I'm Still Standing, I think that you will be inspired by these stories and the women in these stories because we have about 40 plus authors in this book. So it is something that you definitely want to pick up a copy of. And I, of course, also like to encourage you to Thank you. Thank you for holding it up so everyone can see the book. Yes. Absolutely. So yes, yeah, let's put it out there. So if you were tuning in after the show and now so please get a copy of it. And each of the authors are selling the books. So and myself as well. So my website is embracingmysexy60s.com because I also have an anthology called Embracing My Sexy 60s. So that's also available, and you do not have to be in your 60s to read the book. It definitely will inspire you as well. So just any stories that women tell that can inspire each other and help you go to the next level, or you might just be telling your story and you just haven't figured out how to cope with certain things. Well, these are the types of stories you want to read and be inspired by. And third, and definitely last but not least, is that our anthology with Sisters for Sisters Network, which is Always Sisters, the Power of Sisterhood. That is our latest or our newest anthology. Our new anthology, I should say, is our first one, and it can also be purchased either through sistersforsistersnetwork.org, or you can go again to my website to purchase that as well. So with that, I just want to thank Maurice again for bringing us this platform to share on. And the Own It magazine, I am so honored to be the cover girl for September. And that's something that all of you can aspire to, and it's certainly attainable. So you have the contact right now, so you have it right at your fingertips. So use it. So I think we can all help each other in so many ways because we all bring so much, to the table, and it's just a wealth of talent in this room and then other rooms as well. So let's share. Let's be a blessing to others and each other. And I thank you again.
Thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to give Vaughn's contact information out to our guests, our viewers. Just so amazing. What incredible stories. I can't say it enough. Just humbled to be connected with all of you. As I have reached out with you individually, I am going to reconnect with you this coming week. We have a lot of deadlines. The 15th is a critical time of the month for us as well, for other issues of the magazine. So remember, the Own It magazine platform, the Own It publishing platform, has 14 other magazines that we manage and we publish on a monthly basis. And so we're on deadline for a series of other magazines, but just trust me, be patient with me because I will be reaching back out to all of you. And some of you even tonight, I'll be reaching out to you with an email. But I'm just so humbled to be connected with all of you, working with Vaughn on a major project for veterans. In 2022, we're working on a project together. And then also in October, Vaughn's anthology is going to be published in the October and November issues. So super excited to be partner. There's so much that can come out of this. So ladies, like I said, on my platform, do not call it conic robbery to connect with folks. You don't have to put me in that. If you want me to make the connection with you, that's fine. If not, you're encouraged enough, just make the connections. All I want to see is beautiful things happening with you guys. Beautiful things happening. And so that's what sisterhood really is all about. It's loving and supporting each other without having a hidden agenda and strings attached. And so I just want to say, I love you. I'm not going to keep you. You can wait in the background, backstage with me. We can have like a little chat real quick. If you guys want to hang out for a minute. But we're going to say goodbye to our guests tonight because it has been an hour and we're so thankful for them watching and all of that other good stuff. So I'm going to remove you guys. Love you. Just hang out there if you can. I really appreciate you. That is it for the night. Thank you for not counting the robbery to hang out with us at Take Center Stage and Own It. Have a fabulous week. the choice is yours in everything. As you heard with these ladies, they have gone through some trials and tribulations, but they all have wonderful attitudes. We go through, but we ain't got to look like what we went through. So it's all about perspective and attitude as you go through and how you come out. And so just be blessed. Blessings, blessings, blessings do I speak upon you. Good health, peace of mind. Don't let anybody steal your peace, because God gives it to you, and he gives it to you in abundance. Have a great week. Love you. We are out.